Okay, where does hemopoiesis or hematopoiesis occur? Okay, we're looking specifically at where the process occurs. It's happening in red bone marrow. So everybody chose all of the above. So that would have been one on the test where I'd have to give you credit for all of the above. But if we're really thinking specifically about the process of hematopoiesis, if all we had was spongy bone without red marrow in it, hematopoiesis wouldn't occur. If all we had was an epiphysis, hematopoiesis wouldn't occur. It's the red bone marrow in it that is where that process is occurring. Okay? Oh. Well, darn it. So this was something that we didn't really go through over a lot of detail yesterday anyway, but our muscle attachments, this is part of the gross anatomy of bones, but I just thought maybe if you'd looked it over in your chart, you'd see that these different types of markings are how muscles and bones can attach to each other by tendons and ligaments. So tuberosities are little things like our deltoid tuberosity on our humerus is where the deltoid inserts, or the tibial tuberosity on your tibia is where your patellar ligament inserts. So the quadriceps femoris tendon via the patellar ligament. Trochanters, this brings up something that we kind of addressed yesterday. Trochanters are these markings that we only find on the femur, the greater and lesser trochanters of the femur. And those develop when a baby is learning to walk and they stand up and are walking around. Their muscles, their tendons pull on those bones and pull those trochanters out. So it's actually by using and your muscles and bones and pulling on them that you get that development. And if they start growing funky, then your osteoclasts will break them down. So as you're building all of these tuberosities and trochanters and things, they're kind of going through this weird like shaping. Bone shaping is quite a dynamic process. So the osteoblast will lay down these things where we're using them, and then if they're formed weird or anything, the osteoclast will even it out, but it's using your muscles and pulling on the bones that forms all of these things, which is pretty cool. Okay. So when we think of this question, when thinking of the pelvic girdle, the joint trades what for what? What are we giving up so that we get something? Just thinking about bones. We've talked about these bones. Thinking about the skeletal system, what do you think? What are we giving up so that we can gain something? So I liked everybody's answers first, and I'm seeing people change it. How did this happen? So what should be blue is this one. We give up flexibility to gain stability. And so people started changing their answer to this. Yeah. And so in a joint, what we're trying to do in a joint is allow for movement. And so you might say, oh, well, the acetabulum is stronger than the clavicle and things like that. But as far as movement and what's allowed, what this joint is doing is it's giving up the incredible amount of flexibility so that it can be super stable. By having only one bone as the girdle as opposed to two, then you're more stable. I mean, I could see the argument for strength, but that's really kind of a different question. When we're thinking about the movement that's allowed, these are the kinds of two things that joints have a choice in. How flexible am I going to be, or how stable am I going to be? And so in our pectoral girdle, we give up stability so that we can get a lot of flexibility. And that joint is really easy to dislocate and things because most of what's holding your arm on is actually muscles in that girdle that holds it on. So it's definitely more flexible, but it's less stable. Okay, next question.
touch it and then change the color again.
I know, and then it'll be the blue one from the last one. And so which system or systems work with bone to offer protection? All right, yeah, the muscular system works with bone to offer protection. The integumentary system isn't directly, its protection is kind of happening in a different way, all its own. These two systems work together for protection, but also for locomotion. And how do we think about that? Why? Well, if we're thinking of just protection of organs, our bone protects our vital organs, our muscles protect our not so vital organs. So my abdominal muscles are actually protecting my stomach and small and large intestines. Everything that's in my abdominal cavity is being protected to some degree by the muscles of my abdominal wall. So I would say that. So I could switch this out. When thinking of the functions of bone, which system works to offer locomotion? And the answer would be the same. And then, yeah, so in that one, never mind, we're not going to go that far. Okay, next question. Okay, strength in osseous tissue comes from osteons. So trabeculae, I would say, if anything, that this gives them lightness. So this is what we use in spongy bone. Osteons are those nice, really big structures that run the entire length of compact bone. So if we think of a bone like our femur, I could have these osteons that are huge. And it would be my central canal that has my artery and blood vessels, or my artery veins and nerves that serve it. And then all of those interstitial lamella wrap around it. And if you remember, those are layers of collagen fibers that are running in different directions to give the bone tensile strength. And then, so each of those osteons would have that. And then we've got that extra, that really solid, mineral salt rich extracellular matrix then that we get out of that. And so osteons are really what's giving strength in our osseous tissue. Trabeculae is what spongy bone is what spongy bone does to lighten the weight of the bone without compromising strength. And we don't compromise strength because we always have compact bone outside spongy bone.